Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chai Together. I am your host and founder, Prativa Day. You are tuning in for your cup of courage, hope, and imagination today. Today with us, we have Annette Marie Wittenberger. Annette is a military spouse of 22 years with two children and a veteran herself, serving 17 years in the Army as a chemical officer, including deployment in Iraq and Afghanistan. She became an entrepreneur accidentally after retiring to spend time with her kids and share the journey of mental illnesses after the Army on her podcast. Annette has a blog called A Wild Ride Called Life, which is also her podcast, where she incorporates stories from post-military life, being a mom and a military spouse living with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Welcome, Annette.
Thank you.
We're having a lot of laughs this morning.
Yes, I love it.
So how do you feel?
So much better. This this morning was kind of rough, so I'm so much better now. I love it.
I'm glad. Yeah, we laughed a lot.
Yes, it's so needed on a Monday.
So Annette and I have been actually talking for 30 minutes before we were just recording now.
Has it been 30?
It's fun. I needed the laughter. You need to laugh more, everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what would you like to start off speaking about first?
How I even got here today. Um, so I will be retired 4 years as of November 1st.
Oh,
And
congrats.
thank you. I still don't know how that happened, but 4 years ago I was not in a good place. I retired earlier than I expected. Um, I didn't make the next promotion list, and so that was devastating for me. But what really erupted that volcano was the fact that I had suppressed a lot of feelings throughout my life, through childhood, teenage years, adulthood, and the military. And so I didn't talk about a lot of things I had gone through because first, I wasn't raised like that. We just kept our business in the house.
Yeah.
Second, in the military, you're taught to be strong and tough. And especially as a female, I didn't want I didn't want to be that one that was saying there was something wrong. I mean, I used to get so angry that I would cry, and I would just to get really mad at myself because you don't cry in front of your boss, and it was so hard. So when I had to make the decision to just say, okay, I'll accept the retirement. It was just it's like I lost a part of myself. I lost my identity. I felt like a failure, and I really didn't know how to let those emotions out. And I just had to, I don't know, I had to figure out a way or I wasn't going to be able to survive because, oh, by the way, throughout my life I did have suicidal attempts and ideations and all that stuff. So I was living with that in shame, and so I decided to start writing. I was writing in secret. I didn't really tell anybody about it because it was really just heavy stuff. And then I decided that I didn't want to hide from it anymore. And that's when I created the website and I came up with the name A Wild Ride Called Life. I don't even know. It just came to me one day and I decided to go with it. And if you didn't know that I was suffering before, it was now public. And why did I do that? I don't know. And people ask me, why I would put my stuff myself out there like that. But I was just tired of pretending. I was tired of hiding because it was really affecting me. I was not pleasant to live with. I was really a bitch. I really turned into a bitch over my years, and it was just
You
not
know,
fun.
yeah, I have a question. Do you feel being in the military led you to have that attitude? Bitchy attitude?
Part of it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I, before I even signed my life away to join the military, I was told that I smiled too much. And so from then on, I was like, well, shit, that's how I live my life. Like, I just had to smile through it all. And now you're telling me I smile too much? Okay, so I had to change. I had to change myself. And it wasn't until 14 years later where I confided in someone that I worked with, and I told him, I said, what do I do? I was told that I smile too much. And he said, don't ever change that. And so, after 14 years is when I said, okay, I'm going to go back to this and keep smiling, but also be a hard ass. So I had to learn to show my other side that you can't mess with me or take advantage, because at that time I was the the senior leader, the superior, and I had to be taken seriously because nobody would take me seriously if I smiled too much. It was just a hot mess all around. And so when I did show myself, they were like, "Oh my god, she is really pissed." And so it was just a roller coaster all my life. Just an absolute roller coaster, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And the stigma that's out there on mental health, to even talk about going to therapy, or people automatically think it's a psychiatrist. Not many people understand psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, all this. There's so many terms and different reasons why you go see each one. And rather than even talk about it, I just didn't tell anybody. And then I just stopped going.
Wow.
So yeah,
I
just
want to
no.
go back to that phrase when you said, when I signed my life away, because I was going to enroll into the Air Force and I didn't. I didn't want to make an impulsive decision, sign a contract. Just listen to that. Do you feel there's a negative connotation to sign my life away? You know?
Yeah, I I was gonna do it when I was 17 and a half, 18, and I got scared. And I don't want people to think, and yeah, I say that as a joking matter,
Yeah.
but but it really isn't. So I want to make sure the audience knows that I wouldn't trade it for anything. What I experienced in the military taught me many different things, but I wouldn't be who I am now. So, even with my own kids, as much as I was scared to have them even think about joining, my husband, the way he talked about it and the way he described it made me think, you know what, it would be okay if my son joined. Maybe he needed
Wow.
structure.
Yes.
As long as you don't get that impulsive purchase type of attitude, like I'm just going to do it like I did, um do the research, because nowadays all the branches offer so many different things, and it's not a bad thing. Actually, it's actually a good thing for kids who don't really know what they want to do in life, like my son. So, just I would do it again. I didn't do the research. The army was all I knew.
Yeah.
And so I actually went to college, finished it, and commissioned as an officer. So, whereas my husband, he enlisted, took some time off, went to college, and then got commissioned as. So there's several ways to do it. So it's not a bad thing. I did sign a paper, I did commit, and then I ended up staying longer than I expected. So
Wow.
yeah.
And you did say you're a dork. So when you're told not to smile, I used to get told a lot, don't smile at people. Like I smile too much, and by people who are not good for me and they're not in my life now. So do you feel that, is that like where you also lost a part of you when you were told to transition into like more so of a robot?
I did, because then I felt like I had to change myself. So I had to be, in order to be this person to survive in this
Yeah.
dominated, workplace, so to speak. I thought, well,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to have to be serious, because then they won't take me seriously.
But that's not who we are, though. We love to smile, both of us. I'm glad I didn't go in the Air Force, but I won't be going. And yeah, yeah. So when is it that, so do you still go to therapy now or when, like after you stopped, how long ago was that?
I just stopped. It was on and off for decades, and I actually had a therapist until the pandemic, and then
Oh,
they had to shut down a little bit, and then they offered it up again, and by that point I was just trying to figure out life on what was happening with my kids and not going to school, and so I stopped. But I do have a community of people that I can talk to, so it's not like I completely just shut down. I still talk about it. I still talk about my feelings. It's just not with a therapist. So, and for me, it's okay because I know I have the support. So, I'm not saying for those of you, just it's okay to stop seeing a therapist. It's not, but if you have a support system that you can truly trust, then maybe that's the route you need. That's okay for you at this time.
which service were you using?
I was there's a foundation called the and I just forgot. Stephen Stephen A. Cohen Foundation offers resources and support for those that are, for military families that aren't able to be seen on a military installation. So
Do you
they,
know,
Mhm.
do you know of NAMI, National Legions of
I
Mental
do.
Illnesses? Yeah. So I am in a support group for NAMI because I'm my mom's caregiver. I don't know if you know, but that's why I started this channel. It inspired me because my mom's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and just to have that support. And then I don't know where you live, but there's also Catholic Charities that's free resource too for counseling. And one I saw online now that's popular is BetterHelp. Did you see the commercials for that?
I did not, but those are great resources. Wow.
Yeah, it's for cheaper. It's like cheaper services.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if the therapists are possibly in the field less than more so the expert possibly. That's why it's cheaper, but I'm not sure about that.
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure that you are getting help.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love NAMI. I love
Yeah.
American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There's so many nonprofits out there now that are offering resources, and it's just really amazing what is available to us now than before.
I saw you mentioned TAPS. Um, so can you tell me more about it? Because I'm really interested in children and, helping children.
Yes, that's wow. That tragedy assistance program for children survivors, whether they lost a parent or just a family member that they were close to combat. There's a separate one they
Um,
have for suicide, for children who lost parents to suicide. There's a separate one for that as well. But TAPS is it was a 4-day little retreat for kids. It was like a camp, and we would go through training to be a volunteer for them. So I was assigned to a 10-year-old girl who had lost her father, and TAPS showed us ways to help them use their voice
wow.
to just talk about what had happened. And so with my child, she didn't really want to talk about it, but she drew about it. She drew
Yes.
her feelings, she used colors, there were so many different things that I actually lost it twice over that weekend because it was so heartbreaking to see all these children lost somebody, and Taps was trying to teach them how to cope with it, and you are you're their mentor. They're looking up to you for those 4 days. And so everything you do is for them, and it's really incredible. It will change your life for sure.
Would I be able to volunteer? Or is that only for Army?
I think it's just military. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if they opened it up, but go go to their website.
Yeah, always research.
Yep.
And yeah, art therapy. There's not just one way. And I'm so glad you said to teach them how to voice themselves because that emotional shock leads them to possibly not speak or not talk about it. Like Maya Angelou, her case was different because it was rape, but she stopped speaking until she became the poet. So
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. There are so many different ways out there that we didn't even realize. And so I think that's what's so important nowadays cuz sometimes it's not all about medication. It's there's so many other ways to help.
holistic. So tell me more about the other organizations you volunteered for. I know there are like two more.
Right now, let's see. I just
Okay.
recently became a peer leader for Women's Veterans Network,
Hmm.
and it's just women veterans, and it's to really be there for the to provide a community because I think as a female veteran, we often feel isolated because it is so male dominated or used to be so male dominated. So Woven is they've created this community for us to come together and talk about those feelings because there's a lot of us who were I don't want no maybe not a lot well no yes a lot were sexually assaulted in the military and we didn't know how to talk about it because we felt we feel isolated, so why not have a support group, a community of women who understand. And so that was it's huge. I did 2 days of training and it was like, oh my gosh, so many tears, so many laughs, a community I never really thought I needed because I was just to me I was just a veteran. But I have a lot of actual I have a really great support system with my male counterparts. And I'm really blessed to have that because I was assaulted early on in my career and I didn't think I could really trust them. So I don't know, it's just it's such a it's such a different community. But and then AFSP, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, before the pandemic, I was going to be one of the trainers. And so I still keep communication with them too because as you know, suicide is just it keeps increasing.
Can you
And
do it virtually?
yeah,
Able to do it virtually?
we can do training virtually, but there isn't a lot right now going on with
Mhm.
opening it up. So it's just so hard. But there's still a network. So at least we have a network. We have resources if people are in trouble and things like that. So um but yeah, I don't know. I just love to we didn't have that growing up, and early on. We didn't have these type of communities and resources because it was so just embarrassing or being ashamed of feeling the way that we did.
Yeah. And what is your ethnicity, Annette?
I'm Peruvian.
Ooh, I'm South Asian. Yeah, I can definitely relate. Regarding to the sexual assault in the military, there was, I forget the female's last name, but Vanessa,
Gigan.
got her. Yeah. And yes, so when the sexual assault happened to you, do you have a theory of why that happens in that environment? Why do you think that happens?
I don't know. I mean, I was naive.
Mm-hmm.
It was a senior leader. Probably didn't think I would say anything. Probably didn't think there was anything wrong. I don't know. And there could be so many reasons. It's just it's just how when we handle it the way that we think we should, the leadership, it's hard for them to prosecute without having all the details or I don't know. This is a
Yeah.
subject. It's so hard, and
Yeah.
I just can't imagine what everyone's going through.
Because we don't know what we don't know. Like it could be how they're raised, or it could be just yeah, a lot of people don't know that what is sexual. So one thing I realize is a lot of even women, when I mention to someone, hey, I was sexually harassed, they're like, oh, you're not sexually harassed. You don't get to tell me what, like I know the terminology, but a lot of people don't know the difference between sexual assault, sexual harassment, just harassment in general. Anything
Right,
that crosses your boundaries, your limitations is automatically harassment. At
right,
least to me, a lot of women don't have that, or it's so normal to them that they keep allowing it and don't even recognize it. Because a lot of people, I believe, are still living in their trauma. A lot of people don't go to therapy or heal, and they keep, such as I told you, my background, like I was allowing narcissists into my life. I kept having that same pattern. Now I don't. So it's like when you're healthy, I was starting to wonder, is there something wrong? Like, when you're healthy, it's like nothing's wrong. And my therapist is like, no, you're healthy. And it's like, wow, like the feeling to be healthy is like euphoric, like there's nothing wrong. It's like I'm searching for something because I'm so used to something.
right, right.
That's so funny.
I think we do. We just need to take that first step to recognize it, and then decide that I'm worth enough to where I don't have to stand for this. And I
Yeah.
think hard for a lot of us to do is to feel that, to feel like we are worth more, that we don't have to deal with it.
Mhm.
It takes some people years, some people months. Everybody's different. So I think we just need to be that voice. We need to continue to fight and help them say, you're more than, you're worth it.
This is so great. I enjoy listening to you and speaking with you. More about your podcast. Talk more about your podcast. Yeah.
So I created the podcast called The Truths We Hide. It's it was kind of for me to enhance my voice, to make it even louder, to tell people that, I live with PTSD, depression, anxiety, but I'm not going to suffer from it anymore because it wasn't going to save my life. I was such in a dark place. And so when I created it, it was for me, but it was also for veterans, but it's really turned into anyone that is suffering, that doesn't have a place to use their voice because they don't want to be judged. And so I said, you know what? That's it. This is the podcast is for everybody. Because I had people, asking me, is it just for military because I was raped, or is it just for military because I'm bipolar, or whatever the case? And I said, you know what? No. Come on in. Let's do this because
Oh,
you don't know who's suffering off the street. You just don't. And so it's not just military that went to combat. Anybody, everybody has gone through some kind of trauma, but they don't know how to process it still. And so somehow saying it out loud on a podcast helps. So why not? And I never ever expected to be doing a podcast for it'll be a year this week. I never expected it to go this far because I it's such a hard it's there's so many hard conversations, but it's so freeing to say it out loud sometimes so that you can hear what others have gone through but how they've overcame it. So, yeah.
you're
That
doing amazing. I can believe it. Perhaps it was your calling. You put your idea into action, like how you were telling me earlier, and then it became a wild ride called life. It came to you, but you could have not done anything about it, but you chose to go with the website, go with the name, and you just started. And when that happens, it's like the wires click, and then that's what you're supposed to do. It gave you purpose.
I think so. It really was the start of my own self-healing journey, but also I think it was meant for me to help others as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really feel like it. If you don't believe in God or whatever you believe in, there are signs out there. It just took me, 45 years to see them, but it's okay because
You look great.
Thanks. It's never too late. So open up your eyes, open up your ears. It's right there in front of you. And I think we just need to go after it. And so I'm not making millions, but it's okay because it's not about the money. It's about saving lives and helping people live through whatever it is they're living through and be okay with it. So that's what I'm going to do.
Doing great.
Thanks.
Wow, if someone is making millions on podcasts, it's possible.
It is possible, but I'm not I'm not in the business to do that right now. I just really want to help people because it's just too stressful. Who wants?
Yeah. Wow. I'm great we're both doing this. Talk more about your academic background.
So I did receive a bachelor's degree in psychology. I actually wanted to be a child psychologist,
Wow.
um, to help other kids who were, in, went through trauma like I did. And I was a double major. Photography was my supposed to be my second major, but I couldn't juggle it all at 22 years old. So I dropped photography, stuck with psychology, joined the army.
Wow.
And then the Army offered us an opportunity to receive a master's degree. And I received that in 2004 in environmental management. Don't use it. I don't use it. Um, but I could if I wanted to. I just don't. So, yeah.
Wow. Wonderful. I was going to do my master's in school psychology next year as well.
That's great.
Now I've transitioned paths. So now I'm going to be helping children on a greater level through all I do because I too, I mean, my whole purpose is to help children with trauma as well. But I'll tell you more about that later. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Something you want to say to them that you really stand for?
I heard this mantra over 2 years ago that just sticks with me on every level, and it was your mess is your message. And so I think that's one of the things that really helps me is because no matter what you've gone through, once you're ready, you could turn it into something positive to help someone else. And so I really just love to tell people that maybe it'll help you, and so yes, your mess is your message and you can turn it into something positive when you're ready.
That's what happened with me too. I took my mess and turned it into a message. And that's when I was ready. I couldn't have done it before because I wasn't healed and not
Yeah.
the right time. I really like that.
Yeah.
I was never able to do it until I did it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so now it's a beautiful thing, everything that you're doing, you turned it into a message now. And but again, it's when we're ready to heal because sometimes we're just not ready yet. So,
Yeah. Because there are a lot of people who say, I want to write a book. I want to do a podcast. I want to, but they're stuck. They're not able to push themselves with self-discipline to do it. They don't have that drive. That's a whole
well,
other topic. But where can
well,
everyone find you? Where can everyone find you?
well, if you need that push and that drive, I'm here for you. You can find me at a wild ride called life.com. Everything's there, podcast, contact info,
Mm.
all the things. So don't be afraid to reach out.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
You're so great. Adorable.